Hello there, welcome along. This is Business Connections Live. It is week number 71, programme number 71, and a cracking show, as always, lined up for you tonight. Now, our guest this evening is David Endersby from TW18 Social Media. David helps businesses with social media profiles, how to set them up, a little bit of training in Facebook, a bit of training in Twitter, a little bit of training in Google+. The whole world of social media is now at your fingertips when it comes to TW18 Social Media. And if you found social media just a little confusing, if you found it maybe just a little bit off the wall, you say to yourself, you know, this is all very well. I hear everybody is twittering, everybody is hashtagging, everybody is doing all that kind of thing, and you're feeling that you're a bit left out. How do you start? And what should you be starting with? Because if you're in business, social media is a great way of getting your message out there. It may not directly sell you product, but it will definitely raise your profile. David, it's lovely to have you with us. Great to see you again.
Thanks very much for inviting me on again.
It's lovely to have you back. It's your second go here at the show.
It is, yeah.
And the last show, great success. A lot of people really did enjoy the content that you gave us the last time.
Thanks.
We're talking tonight about social media, and as I said to you just before we started, we were going to be having Dan Spicer from Hootsuite on. Unfortunately, he's in Hamburg tonight. But you stepped in, and really, it's from the sharp end that you do it. It's all very well having these wonderful products, isn't it? But you actually do go out and put social media campaigns together for businesses.
That's right, yeah. I work with people on their social media management, putting campaigns together, because I think the problem that people have with social media is they dabble in it a little bit and then they say it's not working for me and they wonder why it isn't working. And I think that's a little bit about what we're going to try and talk about tonight, about what people can do to get their social media to be a bit more effective for them.
So would you say that probably the single biggest mistake then for people that start to get involved with social media is that they have that initial start, they have all the excitement, all the fun of it, and then there's a very high drop-off rate?
That is one of the things that, as you say, people start off, the number of Twitter accounts I see where they say, I'm on Twitter, I tried it, it didn't work for me. And you'll look at their Twitter account and the first day there's, 10 tweets or 15 tweets. And then you look a week later and there's 2 or 3. And then 3 months later, it's just dropped to nothing. And I look on social media, it's like any networking. Most small business owners go out networking and they don't expect to get business the first time they go networking. They know that they've got to build relationships up with people. And social media is much the same in that you've got to keep at it. You've got to be there. And the more often that you're there and the more people that you help, then the better the success that you will get with your social media.
So I suppose we say it a lot. It's all about being involved in a conversation, because I suppose the clue is in the word social, isn't it?
That's right. People forget the word social. So lots of people are out there promoting their business, forgetting that what we're trying to do is promote the person behind the business and trying to get some of the personality of that business across. People have websites which are pretty static, but your Facebook and Twitter accounts are evolving all the time. You're hopefully posting a lot, and so people can see what you're up to on a day-to-day basis. It's a lot more instant than the websites.
And that's the thing. When you look at all the different types of area of social media, where would you put it? Where does it sit within a business? Is it part of my sales? Is it part of my assets? Is it part of my marketing? Where does social media live?
It's part of all those, really. If you say to somebody, what do you want to achieve from your social media, which is, probably the first question you should be saying when you're sitting down saying, I want to do social media, it's why? Why do you want to do it? What are you trying to achieve? And most small business owners will say, well, I want to get more sales from it. And then you say, well, how are you going to do that? And then you break it down and you find it does become part of the marketing of the company. It becomes part of your customer service as well, because people use social media to, complain about companies. So it's
and a compliment.
And compliment them as well.
Compliment as well, yeah.
Yeah. It's one of those strategies, isn't it, that people if they get average service, they don't say anything. If they get really good service, they might comment on it. Or if they get really bad service, you'll get comments on it.
Because it's interesting, the large multinationals now will have teams of people who will be monitoring for their particular operation, their company's name, to come up on social media.
That's right.
And it seems now that if you do complain using social media, you get a better response.
You do. People expect to get a response within a certain amount of time, and most big companies have, as you say, have got a dedicated customer service team on social media, and you'll get a response normally within an hour. I've used it myself, and you get a better response from Twitter than you do by emailing, and the people are beginning to use it as their way of complaining. We said it before, sort of the younger generation, if you like, they've grown up on social media, so they would prefer to moan about something or talk about something, shall we say, in a more positive light, by using social media than picking up the phone. So they won't pick up the phone and say, where's that delivery? They'll go on Twitter and tell all their friends, I was expecting delivery today and it hasn't turned up. Whoever, they promised it to me and they've let me down.
When you talk to older people in business,
where, yeah.
What are you trying to say here? But when you talk to older people in business, do they feel, first of all, do they see a place for social media in their businesses? And do they feel that the peak is passed them by and they've missed the boat?
They do now. I think they are catching on that it isn't going to go away, because it's everywhere, isn't it? Wherever, on TV, even in sort of printed stuff, there's still links to Facebook and Twitter. So they've realised it's not going to go away. I think what I say to them is, it's past now. Is that it's going to evolve. It's part of the marketing network now, and it may change, and people may move from Facebook to Twitter to Instagram to Tumblr or whatever, but there will always be now, I think, a place for social media in your marketing. It's just finding where your customers are and using those platforms, which is part of what we're saying about the social media strategy for people.
What do you think ultimately, in real terms, we're trying to achieve from our social media? Is it, for a long time we talked about SEOing our websites to increase footfall to the website so we'd have more visitors. Are we using this now as really an addition to that tools that we would use for SEO to drive footfall to the website?
It certainly can be used to drive footfall to the website if you do it in the right way. And again, this comes back to what we were saying at the beginning, what do you want your social media to achieve? If you want to achieve visitors to your website, well, make sure that your website's worth visiting, which,
That's something for the customer to do or the visitor to do when they get there. Make it interactive, isn't it?
Yeah, so when you go to the website, if you want people to go to your website and they go to the website, they go, now what? What do I do? What do I do? What do you want me to do? Because people's attention span isn't, very big, so they'll soon shoot off a website if there's nothing, for them to see or do there or buy. Just have it obvious. We want you to subscribe to our newsletter. We want you to call us. We want you to,
Are you an advocate of when you drive people there of squeeze pages, or do you drive them to home pages? Where do you drive people with your Twitter account? Where are you driving it? And for your clients and your customers, what is the primary objective that they're using it for then?
It is mainly to raise awareness and to get people to look at the website, so we can drive people to certain pages. If they've got a special offer on the website, we can use social media to drive them to that offer. Sometimes it's a special an event that they're doing. So there's lots of different things that you can drive people to, but have a reason for driving them to that page.
They always say in any of these things, sell the sizzle. Now, from your experience, and you've been doing this for a number of years now, from your experience, what's been this? I'll put you on the spot now. The most successful use of Twitter and Facebook or social media that you've seen in your experience?
I think a lot of it has been, you've seen some of these really big campaigns for charity campaigns where they've actually gone viral, like the Ice Bucket Challenge, for example. Love it or loathe it, it's certainly...
Did that start on Twitter?
That started on, I think that was more of a Facebook thing, yeah. It's YouTube and then because you can put videos quite easily up on Facebook, it went over to Facebook and people were tagging their friends saying, I've done the challenge, you do it still. I didn't do it.
Me neither.
I didn't.
I'm too old for that childish chit chat, get
But-
down one time, and all that.
Yeah, but it went absolutely viral, and it raised a lot of awareness and a lot of money for a good cause. So as an actual campaign on a high level, that was, I didn't actually like the idea of the Ice Bucket Challenge myself, but you can't knock, a bit cold,
Yeah.
You can't knock the results that it got.
Yeah, and you can't knock
because
that, and it
people-
does show the power of it, doesn't it?
Because people have that thing about getting involved. And so instead of, me saying to you, will you donate $5, I think they were talking about at the beginning, but £5 to this charity, it's, will you actually throw a bucket of cold water over your head, donate $5, and ask 5 other people to do it? And people say, I can get involved in that. And perhaps it's that little bit of my 15 seconds of fame as well, having their video up on Facebook.
Well, it was amazing that does go to show the power of what you can do with social media.
Yeah.
I think what's also interesting there, before we look back at last week's programme where we looked at WordPress, the thing that's really interesting is that when people think of social media, they do think of Twitter, but I don't think they think of YouTube. I don't think they see that as being social media. They don't think, maybe Pinterest, they don't really feel that is social media yet. Or even, Facebook, I think they see, but Twitter and Facebook are the ones that are seen as social media,
Yeah.
and the others are like kind of plug ones. And that's not the case, is it?
No, there are lots and lots of social media platforms, as well as ones you mentioned. That, you can literally have, there are hundreds of social media platforms. Some are very niche markets for people, but there are more and more coming on all the time. So it's a question of looking at, as I said, where are your customers likely to be, and marketing to those people. So we can say that, people are saying, Facebook, the numbers are going down, but it's still,
Huge.
It's still huge. There's, I think, 1.3 billion active Facebook accounts worldwide. There's over 31 million Facebook accounts in this country. So, your customers are on Facebook somewhere, and it's, the numbers are actually staying pretty static because it's, again, the older generation who are now, going
Well,
on
this
Facebook.
is it, isn't it? It's
And
not,
so
it's Facebook and that isn't down with the kids anymore.
not
is it?
cutting
They're
edge
looking,
now.
It's not cutting edge, so they're looking for something that's an alternative.
Yeah.
And it's mum, dad, grandpa and grandma that are using Facebook to keep in touch.
Yeah, but I say it's a mainstream thing. So it's like, do you advertise on, well, you can't advertise, I was going to say BBC, but do you advertise on ITV or do you advertise on, some obscure, satellite channel? It's, most people are, not like this.
Yeah, so keep going.
But most people are looking at the mainstream. So with the social media, most people are on, Facebook. So that's where you've got to be looking to advertise.
Well, what we're going to do, we're going to go through the things that a bit of strategy we're going to be talking about, how to actually use social media, how to identify who your audience is. A lot of businesses don't know who their audience is for their business, let alone who they're trying to target on social media. Also the difference between them, where you should be going, which one you should be looking at. Do you stand back for a moment, look at your own business and go, that's what my business is, here's what I'm trying to achieve, therefore the most ideal social media platform is going to be that one. How to save time doing it. We've got a lot to get through, haven't we?
Yeah.
And what you might need to pay.
Yeah.
Probably you, actually, if you want to get it done effectively. I mean, it really is. It's a fascinating evening. Social media, I know it comes up time and time again, and we talk about it all the time. Let me give you an example. We're on programme number 71. Programme number 69, which was, well, a couple of weeks ago, depending on where you're watching this and when you're watching this. Number 69 was a young guy, a young entrepreneur called Joss Pearce. And what I'll do, I'll just find his little piece of footage if I can. Here I am looking blind now on the telly. So a little, oh yes, put the glasses on, don't be so vain, Highland. Now, if we actually go in just a moment to that particular page, we'll get there in just a second. The thing that was interesting about that, he came on. Now, he is an avid Twitter Exponent. That's what he uses all the time. Now, on average, the programs here, when we're actually doing this, they probably rack up maybe anywhere between a couple of hundred views all the way up to a couple of thousand views. There was one program that's been our lead program, had something nearing 6,000 views when it came to the program. It was on LinkedIn. It's with Steve Mills. Fantastic show, great show, really informative. Once again, another social media platform. As I said, 2 weeks ago, Josh came on the program. And using his Twitter account, his program is now sitting at something in the order of 10,000 views. 10,000 views. Now, when you start looking at that, even if their eyes have only brushed across the content for a few minutes, he has raised his profile to 10,000 individuals. In fact, that number is going up on a daily basis. Now, he's got a big following, yes he has, but what he has done, he has marketed his program to tell people he was on there. Now, how's that going to affect him in business? How are people going to perceive him? Some of the comments that came back, both on YouTube, where the program was posted, and also to his account, some of the things that have come back have said, way to go, fantastic, inspired, inspirational. And so he's building his own personal brand. Now remember, he is also a successful businessman in his own right. So 8, 10, 12,000 views for a particular program. When he walks in somewhere, people are going to go, seen you, know who you are, know what you stand for, understand your character. All because he promoted and he sold himself by using Twitter and social media. I mean, it's 2 weeks. Just quite amazing from a standing start. Listen, we'll look at that website in just a moment because my machine's gone very slow. So our guest this evening is David Ennisby, TW18 Social Media, going to give you some of the insider track, some of the secrets. Now, on our show last week, our guest was Rafi Akbar. He's the founder and CEO of Lucky Webs, whose background is in digital marketing, web design, social media, e-commerce and web analytics. He's passionate about empowering others. He runs training courses on how you can start your own blog. Once again, another area that you can actually do where you're engaging people, making people come to your website because you're writing something that's of perhaps maybe interested them. And what he did was he showed you how to set up your first WordPress site. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. If you're sitting there, maybe you're watching this on the browser and you think, I'd like to be part of all of this. Well, why don't you watch a little bit of the highlights of the programme and then watch the entire programme, because this is Rafi Akbar from last week's edition of Business Connections Live. Now, my guest this evening is Rafi Akbar, founder and CEO of Lucky Web.
I think about 11 years ago, WordPress started out as simply a blogging platform. So if you go to wordpress.com, you can literally open your own subdomain. So it's sitting back on the WordPress domain and it's free, and you can actually have your own identity, but using WordPress's hosting. I think it's just much more than just a web development tool. It's actually more of a content management tool once you've built the site. Because at the end of the day, you don't want to just spend time building the perfect site. It's more about marketing for the website, getting the relevant traffic to your site. The other version is when you're paying for your own web hosting, and web hosting is simply a service that you pay for and they take care of your website for you. So if anything breaks down, if it gets attacked, if there's an issue with it, they will help you with it. If you need to open an email account for your domain, they will help you. Usernames, now it's been on BBC a few years ago. A lot of websites tend to get hacked. So to prevent yourself from getting attacked or by your websites being taken away, always have a strong username and a password. So this is how you log in to the dashboard of your WordPress site. That's when you'll see this control panel. And then you can enter your login details, click login, and you'll jump straight into your WordPress dashboard. Now, home is literally this dashboard. It's a quick summary of how many blog post articles you have, how many pages you have, and who's commented on your blog article. And post is basically the same exact thing as a blog article. So let's give this article a name. So let's say how to start a WordPress blog. Now let's say I want to publish this. So if I just click publish, and then I click view post, here's my article. Now this is a paragraph text, what's important to be found in Google as well is the structure of your website. So the name of a post is usually header 1, is the largest font size for the site. So when you want to add a different header for within the post or a page, it should not be a header 1, it should be heading 2. So let's assume I've already downloaded the theme and it's in my computer sitting there somewhere. So instead of having to buy any theme here, I would just click upload theme, choose a file, and I'll go inside my directory, and here's the theme, canvas.zip. This is what it used to look like.
Right.
If I now refresh this, here you go. It looks completely different. Okay, the first thing I would definitely say is focus on web hosting, because you don't need to worry about sorting the website's back-end stuff. All you need is a nice web hosting company that will take care of your website for you, while you can focus on building the site, get it up and running, and market it. So the first thing is choose a good web hosting company, and I would recommend Bluehost all the way. Second, once you've logged into your Bluehost account, you can actually install WordPress, and WordPress is the way forward. So you can install WordPress with a single click from their control panel. Third is, once you've got WordPress installed and you have the hosting set up, then you have to choose a nice layout, a WordPress theme. So once you choose a theme, then you can install and activate that theme. But when you're looking for a theme, the things you should do is go into Google, search for that theme. So you would search based on your area of expertise, or when you're about to start a business, based on that focus. So let's say if you're a photographer, you would say best photography theme, or best WordPress photography theme, and then, or even add the year 2015, so you can have the latest themes available. So that's number 3. Number 4 is then choose the plugins that you need to install. Now there's a bit of do's and don'ts. You should not have more than 10 or 15 plugins, maximum 15, because beyond that, then your WordPress website will get to be a bit clunky or slow, and then you'll have to find other ways of speeding it up. But also, the more plugins you have, and each plugin is built by someone else, there's a danger that your site could be exposed to things that you might not be aware of. So the less plugins you have, the better. Just have plugins for for your Twitter, for your Facebook, for your LinkedIn, with whatever is relevant, and just keep it to a minimum. And then number 5 is security. You should have some security plugins, and there's plenty of security plugins out there as well. And when I run my course, I go through all of this in more detail.
It was a cracking show, actually, fantastic. And if you are thinking about setting up your own WordPress site, a terrific show to watch as well. It'll take you through the different steps. Lots of good advice, lots of good hints and tips in that particular show. If you want to go to the website, all you've got to do is go to businessconnectionslive.com, and you can watch, in fact, all the programs there if you want. Or you can watch, of course, on YouTube too, or on Roku, or you can watch us on iTunes. It's all over the place. Press that button, by the way, if you want to subscribe. In fact, our website is going to be changing very shortly, as is the time of the programme. We're going to be live on Mondays at midday. Now, we were talking about that young gentleman, Josh Peers, who was on the programme a couple of weeks back, and his programme was Entrepreneur or University. It was Business Connections Live number 69. That's the page on the website you can go to. You can see the way that we've used, we actually do use WordPress, where you can go down the side here, the different programs and what they cover. Everything from, business tools, how to be an entrepreneur, funding, legal, marketing, mentoring, down here to social media, and also how to enhance and make your website work better for you. All the programs are lined up down there. Now, this program here, though, with this young sir, with Josh, Entrepreneur or University, you decide. I just had a quick gander during that, and currently that is sitting at 10,149 views. Just amazing. Using social media, absolutely fabulous. So it goes to show you what you can achieve. Now, what's he trying to achieve? Awareness. He's raising profile and doing it very successfully. My guest tonight is David Endersby, TW18 Business Media. Now, David helps businesses with social media profile setup, and also training in Facebook, Twitter, and also Google+. Google+, new kid on the block, isn't it, to a certain extent? And I read somewhere that Google aren't as happy with it as perhaps I should be.
No, I think Google Plus was their great hope for a social media platform. Lots of people signed up to it, but it isn't really being used an awful lot. So I think it's probably at a little bit of a crossroads at the moment, whether they're going to sort of push it a bit more. It's certainly very good for helping you with your SEO. So articles you put up on there, Google do find them, and it does help you with your SEO rankings. And there's a lot of good features on it as well. But the number of actual active we get figures of how many accounts there are, but how many of those are actually active is another question. So I think Google Plus is like the sleeping giant of the social media platforms, really, and it's probably got a bit of catching up to do.
Do you think there's a bit of a problem, David, when it comes to the likes of social media and Google Plus, that it's so intertwined now? Your website is talking to your YouTube is talking to your Google Plus, your Google Plus is talking to your Twitter, and it all comes round again. It sounds like a song, but. I mean, I found when we were setting up our Google Plus and the YouTube, trying to integrate it, it gets very, very confusing.
It does, and I get confused by some of the sometimes. But
you're the expert.
I'm the expert at the content creation, and I find techie people to help me if I need to get things connected sometimes. You've got to look and say, you're right that lots of these things do get connected, but you've got to just make sure that you're connecting the right things as well. So lots of people, especially in the early days, would connect their Facebook and Twitter accounts together, and so you would see obscure Facebook posts that had retweet at somebody or other and just a couple of lines of text, and you'd think this doesn't really look very good on Facebook. Or you'd have on the Twitter account, you'd see a Facebook link which obviously had a picture to it that you couldn't see. So just if you are looking at, because we all want to save time, that's, we're all short of time, people are doing it themselves, you're looking for time-saving applications, but just be careful, on the platforms that you actually connect. But you're right, with YouTube, Google own YouTube, so that obviously there's all that interconnected between Google Plus and, as you say, YouTube, and when you get your Google sort of Gmail account and everything, you can go to the one page and you can see all your Google Analytics and your YouTube views, and look at all your pages, and that's all there nicely together for you. So,
I mean, the thing about Google is that they are the big boys in the market, but they're not the big boys when it comes to social media, and that's the issue. Everybody wants to be SEO'd for Google, but Twitter is something a little bit different. But of course, Twitter and Facebook, they can all help your SEO as well, can't they? With keywords and things.
And yes, when people, if you meet somebody at a networking meeting and they go back and they think, I'll have a look and see who this Steve chap is, and they type your name into Google, the Business Connection Live website may well come up. I'm sure it will.
Do you know what's really embarrassing? Actually, I was doing something the other day. I was up in Six Hills, which is sort of near Leicester, and I was doing some work up there with an organisation, and they just wanted to make certain they knew who I was, the people that I was actually interviewing them, and they came in, and one guy came in and said, "I've Googled you. You are Mr. Grumpy." And I thought, that's not very nice, is it? And but it's true. There was a piece that was done by the Which magazine that brought a booklet out called Computing for the Over 50s. And I was incensed. Computing for the over 50s. It was the over 50s that brought computing to the masses. Steve Jobs and Bill Gates. They're all about the same age as I am. They're all coming out actually to they would have done, God rest his soul. But Mr. Gates, but up to 60. Everyone's getting there. And that's the generation that brought computing to the masses. Yet everyone considers computing to be for the younger generation. Hey, listen, it was our lot that got there first.
We brought it in, but they're
now exploiting
they've grown up with it.
Well, that's it. You just end up, the older you get, the more stupid you get.
I was just going to say, when you are Googled, which wasn't a verb we thought we'd have a few years ago, but anyway, when you are Googled, not only will your website come up, but your Facebook page and your Twitter will come up as well. So, you'll appear there. And as I say, the younger generation are used to looking at your Facebook account and your Twitter account as well as your website, because that's what they do. And that, I say, gives more of a flavour of what your business is about than your website sometimes does, because it gets a little bit behind, a little bit more into the personality of people, because it's a more active platform than the website is.
Websites do tend to be very static, don't they? That is the problem. David, then let's go down to things that we promised that we're going to teach tonight and try and achieve.
Okay.
Strategy. How do we start?
I think
with a strategy for social media.
There's three questions that I think you should be asking yourself when you start off. and they are, why have you joined social media? What is your purpose in joining it? What is your brand's actual purpose if you've got a brand or your company, and what do you actually want to achieve from your social media? And these are all going to be different answers for different people, but once you've got that, then you can decide, say once you know what you want to achieve, then you can start looking at how you're going to do that, and that will give you guidance as to which platforms you should be on.
I'll let you finish, but when you ask yourself those questions, why have you joined?
Yeah.
What's the wrong answer?
Because everyone else has.
Right.
That's
What is the wrong? Why has my brand got involved with social media? What's the wrong answer?
Again, I think most people will go, what's the brand? I don't know what. I haven't got a brand. I'm,
just me.
I'm me. I do electrics. I'm not a brand. But
and what's the wrong answer then? I'll ask you because it's my third question. I've started, so I'll finish.
Okay.
What's the wrong answer for? That's just about two Ronnies, this, isn't it? Ask yourself the question: what you want to achieve. What's the wrong answer to that?
Again, I think it's just people not knowing or not thinking about it. There's probably not a wrong answer as such, but it's, I haven't really thought about what I want to achieve. Or the other one that everyone comes up with is they want to get more sales. And then that's fine, but you've got to think, how am I going to do that? And then you break it down to, more specific things and the way you're going to do that. Will I get more sales by driving people to my website? Going back to the website, is that how I'm going to do it? Yes, that's what I want people to do. My selling is via the website, so I need to use my social media to drive people to the website. If you don't get anything from the website, you've got to think how else. I want people to call me. You've got to have a method of, people finding your phone number. So I'm just going to say it's having the big picture and then breaking it down, into smaller chunks of how I'm going to achieve that. And obviously that is different for more or less every company. Different companies have different ways of what they actually want to achieve. They've got different resources behind it as well. So you've got to be realistic about, what you're going to achieve. And I think this is probably a mistake that, small businesses make, that I know I've heard all these wonderful things about social media. I'll go on Facebook, I'll go on Twitter, I'll tweet and I'll post, and all of a sudden my phone won't stop ringing. And it's unfortunately
not the case.
It's not the case, unfortunately.
I'm going to turn those questions on their head again, then, just because this is the absolute clarity I want to get. So then, why have I joined? What should be the right answer?
You've joined because you want to. It's a very good.
It's a very good question.
It is a very good question.
Joined? Yeah.
Yes. And you've got to think about it. I joined because that's what I do. So obviously I've got to be on these platforms. So I joined them first and then went onto it. People join because they do want to improve their business, really. But it's not just about getting sales. It's
about raising their profile.
Reputation, raising the profile, improving your customer service, improving your customer loyalty. So there's all these things, providing an educational resource. If you're like a healthcare, something like that, you might just want to show people your expertise. So these are some of the reasons that people do use for joining. So,
I'm making it work tonight, actually, aren't I? You can see that.
Yeah.
Number of social media users, then. So we are talking about a vast number, aren't we? I mean, there are literally millions out
billions.
there.
There's billions. You're looking at. So I've got some notes here, but
that's okay.
Yeah, so 1.3 billion Facebook users. And I could say to you then, I could ask you a question. What's the next biggest social media platform?
I think I'm going to have a wild guess.
Go on then.
It's YouTube. Am I right?
Yeah.
And people don't realise that, do they?
No. And I didn't write that one down in my list because you're right, people don't look at that typically as a social media channel. It's a bit more of a broadcasting channel in that there isn't quite so much interaction, although people do respond to the videos and put posts on it, but there's not the same interaction between people on it.
Yet that is exactly how the videos on YouTube are ranked. It's by interaction with the videos. So they're looking for bounce rate. They're looking for viewing time.
Yeah.
They're looking for comments.
That's
I mean,
right.
in fact, if you're watching this on YouTube right now,
Comment.
comment, say something about it, tell us what you think, and give us a thumbs up as well. Give us a thumbs up. And if you don't like what we're saying, if you just think it's a lot of rubbish what we're saying, give us a thumbs down. Because the thing about YouTube is it's the interaction. It doesn't matter whether it's good, bad or indifferent. It's the fact that you've responded and you've done something. So give us a thumbs up at the moment if you are watching this on YouTube. And don't forget, if you want to, you can always subscribe. Nearly finished on this. We'll remind you why you should subscribe in just a moment. Okay. So the numbers of social media, Facebook's big, YouTube's big, and we don't even think about it.
We don't think about it. But the answer I was expecting, because I've forgotten about YouTube as a social media, is actually Instagram.
Really?
There you go. Stunned is the next.
Stunned and amazed.
Stunned and amazed is that it's got 300 million users, which is about the same as Google Plus, but the Instagram users are a lot more active. It's really rising very, very quickly, but you've got to be the right sort of business to use it, really.
And what is the right sort of business?
Youngsters are using it because they can send photos to each other from their mobiles, and they can write text on it and just send it across. Look, here's me doing whatever I'm doing, and it's an easy way of interacting with their peers. If you're a business, then you're not going to be doing the same sort of thing. You're going to be posting images of your product, really. So if you do if you're in the fashion world, for example, then Instagram would be a channel that you should be on.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because I know that I'll just pop onto our homepage. We actually have Instagram, and we do get quite a lot of traffic via Instagram. Yeah. And all we've done is we've put all our programs there, and this little thing here is just a plug-in that you can use, and this just shows some of the technology that we use within. We'll just pop over to Instagram. Come on, in your own time. That's quick. And this is just some of the broadcasts. Sorry, this is Pinterest, isn't
Pinterest,
it?
which is
the also
other,
big, isn't it?
Which is the other one which is great for visuals. So if you were a fashion writer or a fashion designer, and you were saying what channel should I be on, you wouldn't be saying Facebook, Twitter. You'd be saying make sure you're using Instagram, make sure you're using Pinterest.
So, which is just amazing, amazing. 300 million.
So it's bigger. It's got more users than Twitter.
And then after that.
Then you're looking at Twitter, LinkedIn, as we've mentioned, Google Plus and Pinterest. So they're the big ones.
People, when they hear the likes of LinkedIn, they think that. So this is different market segments, isn't it? So LinkedIn is going to be more about
more B2B, more B2B. So if you're purely a B2B person, then again, LinkedIn is probably one of those that you don't actually think of as a social media channel so much, because there's the perception of. And I know you've had people on there doing a whole program on LinkedIn, but the old perception, if you like, is you would put your CV up on there, and people would know about you, and that was more or less it.
Well, it was originally a recruitment site.
And it still is used a lot for that, but there are groups that you can join. Again, like every social media channel, the more you interact with people, the more you partake, the better results you're going to get. So joining groups that are relevant to what you do, is a great way of getting the name across. And what you shouldn't do, and again, I think your LinkedIn man probably said, is join groups where they're doing the same as you. Or, well, I'm not saying don't join, because you can pick up information.
Because
you can
if
pick
you're
up
an
information.
undertaker, don't join undertakers, because it'll
be a dead loss.
The wrong one, but it will be a dead loss.
Yeah.
Very good indeed. Ba-boom. But also, more importantly about that is, of course, that they're not going to give you any traffic, are they? When it comes to, well, they're not going to be passing customers on to you.
Yes.
That's a dreadful, truly the worst example in the whole world.
But if you could join a group of people who are nearly dead, then that'd be a great group to join.
That would.
If you could join
where we're going with this.
If you could join the Nearly Dead in Surrey group, then you may well be able to show your expertise to them. But all joking aside, it's finding the relevant groups to join, and the groups to join on LinkedIn aren't. You join your peer groups to exchange information and perhaps ask for advice at times. So that's a great thing to do. And for collaboration, which is another thing that social media is good for. But if you're looking for customers, then you think, who are my customers? I'll join the Nearly Dead of Surrey group.
You know that's going to come back and haunt you, don't you?
Yes, very soon.
It will
probably.
do.
It's getting worse.
I know. You'll be lying in bed tonight going, I wish I never went there with that.
I know.
Which kind of leads us on nicely to knowing your audience, isn't it?
That's-
Understanding who your
that's
audience
right.
is.
And I think you said
live
earlier-
ones, preferably.
Preferably live people is always good. But I think you said earlier, do businesses know who their audience is? And if not, then perhaps they should start to find out who they are. And, different businesses obviously have different audiences, but you should be able to get a good idea of the demographics of your audience. So if you are selling, again, giving example, to teenagers, but then perhaps you look at, Tumblr or Snapchat, which are two that I don't think we've mentioned, but they are, they're not quite as big as those, but if you've got 50 million people on Tumblr and 80% of them are teenagers, which that may not be the right thing, but it is a high proportion of teenagers on there, then that would be a better site to be on than Facebook for you.
If you had to break it down into ages, and you were looking at it, this would be quite interesting. Now, for instance, while you were talking, Katie, who's whispering in my ear this evening, she said to me Snapchat.
Okay.
Now Katie, attractive, 20-ish year old, my pleasure.
Yeah.
And so if you had to split it down in those different ages, how would you go about it? What would you say about it? Would you say that Twitter is across all age groups or is slightly older, and Facebook is now slightly older? You already said that.
Facebook is definitely slightly older. It's moving up to, so the mums and dads, nans and granddads are on it now. But it does go across, all groups still. Twitter's probably slightly younger than Facebook. Some of them, the age demographics aren't quite so clear, but there are other demographics. You do Snapchat and Tumblr and Instagram are definitely the younger generation ones. If I want to find out what my son's up to, he's done a Facebook boycott now because he knows I'm on it, so I've got to hunt him down on Tumblr and Instagram and find out what he's up to because he's away at university.
It's quite amazing.
Yeah, so, if it's, again, we're going back to it, it's finding the platform your audience is on, not the platform you like using. You may love putting images up on Instagram, but if you are marketing to the over 50s, I don't know why I keep going to this older group, but whilst looking at you, Steve, then be on Facebook. If you're doing something that's very community-based or, then again, Facebook's a great place for communities and community groups. It's a great place where, I don't know what to say, but mums get together and chat. So schools are getting great success with Facebook and setting up groups. I know that's not a business use, but, for having groups of like-minded people, setting up a Facebook group where you can talk either, in private if you want to, is another great use of social media.
Now, it's interesting you say that. We're very heavily involved with Young Enterprise, and what we do, we judge their sales videos. Now, Young Enterprise, if you're not familiar with what they do this thing where they set businesses up. So you'll have 6 or 7 students in a school, and they will set a business up that will produce something, and they will run it as a proper business. So they will assign a marketing director, a sales director, managing director, and so on. So they've got a proper structure of a business. In fact, to a certain extent, the products nearly become secondary. And when we go along to the different events that we actually see, I think we're going to be at the final in Surrey. I think that's at Guildford Cathedral at sometime in the future. But when you on the 17th of June, when you see these young adults working, one of the things that they always say is that we set the business up, we started doing our marketing, we set up a Facebook page, we used Twitter, and they just got it out there, and they use social media just like that.
But it's
and they really get it. It's second nature.
Yeah.
And what they're doing, they're going from a standing start with these little businesses, and some of them are turning over in the, for what they are, hundreds of pounds, some in many cases, thousands of pounds of turnover, and they are using social media as their marketing vehicle. And I think that's really to be sort of, saluted and admired by them. So it just goes to show it does work.
It does work. But as I said, just find out where your audience is. So if you've got a database, then, things you can do, you can survey, you can ask ask your audience, ask your present customers, you know, do you use social media? Which platforms do you use? Because if they're using it, then your target audience are likely to be using the same platforms.
Okay, so know your audience.
Yeah.
The differences between the social media platforms we talked about. There's so many social media platforms out there. How do we go about saving time? Because, you know, it's hard enough running a business. If you're an SME, if you're a small business, and you're trying to run your business on a daily basis, the last thing you want to be doing is tweeting, unless you're in the industry of networking or that kind of thing.
I think one of the things to do is, I say, work out which platforms you want to be on, and don't try and be on too many. You get people who say, "Oh, I've seen, you know, Facebook, Twitter," unless you've got time to do them all, in which case you're probably doing it full time. But you're not going to be able to have the best influence if you try and be on too many platforms. So, if you decide that Facebook and Twitter are the ones for you, for example, then concentrate on those and work out how they're best going to work for you. Don't try and have Facebook, Twitter, set up a Pinterest account, have a dabble in Instagram, have a look at Pinterest, say, oh, I'll do Google Plus as well. Oh, while I'm at it, I might as well go for the full set and get, LinkedIn and Tumblr in there as well. And Snapchat, and why not WhatsApp? Why not do the whole lot? Because your whole effect will be diluted. So that's one of the biggest wastes of time, because none of it will work properly for you. So, as we keep saying, and we're going to keep saying it to the end, concentrate on the platforms that are relevant to you, and then you can work out the best way of saving time on those. So I would say when you start off, if you're a business owner, you should be on LinkedIn for a start. That's a.
I was just about to ask you this question.
Yeah.
So a business owner
should always be on LinkedIn,
right?
I think, and
is that because it is targeting business people?
Business people, and it's something that people do again when they meet you at networking events. One of the things we always say that people don't do enough, just in general terms, is follow up.
Yeah.
Where you don't make a sale on your first meeting with somebody. They used to say it took 7 touches. I think they've decided it takes 12 touches now. But connecting with them on LinkedIn is a good way of saying, I met you at this meeting, I'd like to, keep in contact. Can we connect on LinkedIn? So that's a good way and people would look at you, will try and find you on LinkedIn, and,
And of course, the nice thing about LinkedIn is it gives a little bit of insight into the person that you're connecting with, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That maybe you didn't have the time.
That's right. Again, it's not only does it have their CV, it has the jobs that they did before, some areas of expertise. It might tell you about charities they support, volunteering they've done. So there's all sorts of things it tells you about people. Again, getting to know that person. One of my bugbears with LinkedIn, and I know we're sort of veering a bit away, is people who have holiday snaps up as their profile picture. You're a professional person on LinkedIn, so have a professional head and shoulder shot done by, get a proper professional photographer in and get them to do it, because I just think it doesn't portray the right image to start with on LinkedIn.
Note to self: take down holiday
take down
snap.
that one of you in the.
All right.
Yeah. So
that's the professional business owner.
Yep.
All right then. Other recommendations then.
Again, I say we're talking about platforms. Just concentrate on one or two, and look at something. I know, unfortunately, he's not on this week, but look at a social media management platform that you can use, a scheduling platform like Hootsuite.
Which we have here. If you're not familiar with Hootsuite, as I said, we were going to have Dan Spicer on the programme tonight. He's going to be on in a couple of weeks' time, in fact, now. And
I'm sure he'll run through the whole gamut of features, but the good thing for small business is that you can have 5 social media platforms on it, so you can run your Twitter, your Facebook, your Google Plus, your Pinterest from one platform. Another word that people like to hear a lot is free. So it's free to use. I've
gone all the way back there. I've gone off it. Yep.
It's a free platform, and what you can do with it is you can schedule posts.
And that's why we use it. We use it to schedule posts a lot of the time, and we find it very useful for doing that, in fact.
So anything that isn't time sensitive, you can schedule it in advance. So if you want to schedule your post wishing all your viewers a happy Christmas, you can do it today and set it up for obviously December the 25th.
But the danger is, isn't it, the danger of using something that is automated to a certain extent is that you start to lose that interaction, aren't you? Or that personal nature.
Yeah, it's not a replacement for it.
Are these like the housekeeping messages that you need to be sending out? And you like, for instance, this program, we could say you're on the show.
Yeah.
We can tweet it out on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We know what's going to happen. Half an hour, David's going to be on the program, and we can do all those. But the conversation of it, or the bit where you talk back to people, you've got to just keep your eye on.
You've got to be there. So you've got to be there. Again, with Hootsuite, one of the great features is that you can set up streams on your Twitter account, for example. So you can set up a stream which will look out for your name being mentioned. So, you know, if TW18 Business Media gets a mention, I'll see a tweet with it mentioned. So if somebody's talking about me, I'll see that on the stream, and I can, you know. I think you probably saw that you sent a tweet out about the programme tonight, and it was retweeted within 5 minutes. Yeah, probably.
And I think that's a very powerful thing, and I think it's very easy just to tweet something and then not have any other information in there. For those people that don't understand, the tweet names, the one that starts with the ampersand at the beginning, ours is Business Connect 6, dreadful name. And then you've got hashtags. What's the difference between the two, and how do you use them?
Okay, the @ is, as you said, it's your name. So if I want to talk to Business Connections, I can put in @ start typing in business, and as it'll come up with all suggestions, and I'll find you, or I can tweet directly to you, and it will come up with the @ name. The hashtag it started off with events, really, was the way it started, I think, where people would be at an event, and anyone who wanted to tweet what was happening at that event would use the same hashtag. And if you then search for that hashtag, all the tweets about that event would all be grouped together. But you can do the same. So if you're, you know, it's a great search tool for businesses. So if you're looking for, you know, somebody, if you do catering, wedding catering, you could search for people. Hashtag catering. But you could search for things like hashtag engagement. If people have just got engaged, then they'll be getting married, presumably. So you can think, you know, again, who are my likely customers? What hashtags will they be looking? What terms will they be using? Set up some searches, and you can experiment with them. You can have as many hashtags as you want, and you'll find people who are looking for your services.
That's a very clever way of using it.
It is. So, and again, you can, if you've got this is me plugging Hootsuite. I don't get anything for this, but you can set up a stream not only searching for your name, but you can set up streams that are searching for certain terms, and you can use the algebra type thing with the pluses. So you can say, I am looking for weddings, but not divorces, or whatever. So you can have, or both those things, or whatever. So all the things where you can have both words, both terms, phrases, you can search for all those.
Algebra, isn't it? That's what it is.
That's the thing.
You're a jolly man, aren't you? Funerals and now divorces.
Yeah. And weddings.
And weddings. Okay.
We normally do them in that order.
So really what we're looking at then, it's a great tool for supporting a business, but don't forget that it is a tool that you've also got to use in association with your normal traffic.
It's like the bricks of your social media, if you like, that you can lay out there, but you've got to fill those bricks in with interaction with people. You've got to follow the right people. You're going to say who are the right people now, aren't you?
No, don't worry, I'm not.
Okay.
I mean, a thought that's going through my mind about this whole thing is one of the issues, and something that I've seen on a repeated basis, is that people now seem to be using it as for direct messages. And more and more people now, the only way to communicate with them is by using Twitter. So you will receive a Twitter that is a direct message from you in the same way as you used to receive an email or a text.
Yeah.
And this seems to be the latest thing. And there seem to be a number of people that are in the networking sphere that seem to be doing that. Is that something you've seen?
Yeah, the people are using it. And there's a new feature with Twitter now that you can actually set up direct messaging groups. So you can direct message somebody, and then you can bring other people in. So you can actually have a conversation with a group on Twitter. I don't know if it's coming to everyone yet, but it will be coming in.
What a great idea that's going to be.
But yes, you're right that people, you know, put stuff up on Facebook and they expect people to see it. They direct message people on Twitter. Again, our young friends are using Snapchat. for their direct messaging, or WhatsApp, which I discovered the other night, which isn't a social media thing, but it's another messaging messaging tool that people are using. So yes, they're using it as even with on their mobile phone, they will use messaging as opposed to calling each other.
What are the things you've got to be careful of? I mean, reputations can be lost in a heartbeat. How do you make certain you don't lose your reputation when it comes to actually using social media? Are there rules that you should mentally have in your own mind's eye?
You've got to think, when you put something out on social media, it stays there. So think twice about what you're actually putting out there. Would you be happy, my rule of thumb, I think I said it on the last show, would you be happy with your grandmother seeing what you've put out there? Because it may disappear from the Twitter stream, but it's there somewhere, and people will find it, and there are examples of people finding stuff that's ages old. And that's one of the reasons why Snapchat's become so popular, because in theory it disappears. Whether there's a great big Snapchat cloud in the sky where it hasn't disappeared, I'm not sure, but
I'm sure it's called CQ, HQ, or whatever.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, so, just think about, as I say, what you're saying to people. You're right. People. One of the things that people do say to me is, I don't want a Facebook account or whatever. Supposing people say nasty things about my business, well, why? Why are they saying nasty things about your business? Is it because you haven't actually got a great business? I mean, might get...
But if that happens and your competitor is saying nasty things about your business, what can you do about it?
You can report people and you can block people if it really is malicious. If it's a genuine complaint, then, I think it's better that you're seen to be responding to that complaint visibly, so people can see that you've said, I'm sorry that this has happened to you. We will fix it for you. Let's not air it on social media.
Do you think people forget that when they are pressing the buttons on either their keyboard or on their phone, that what they're doing, they're forgetting that they are effectively publishing, they are broadcasting?
I think they do. Yeah, I think you think you're saying something just to you, but actually the whole anyone can see it.
The consequences, and we've seen this in the past, the consequences can be extreme.
And people, you're right, they wouldn't say that to somebody's face normally, but they'll put it out on social media. Even, just using, inappropriate language. People probably wouldn't do that, but they do on social media. That is, one of the things that you do see a lot is, sort of quite offensive language. So I'm going to ask
you a couple more questions really before we finish tonight, and ask you to do a little bit down the lens. I'm going to ask you in just a moment how much it all costs, what kind of money we're going to be talking about. But the other thing is there other ways to use social media in a collaborative way, as a collaboration with other people to get collaborative opportunities? Is that possible?
It is, because you'll connect with people who will have an affinity with your business that you may not meet, I was going to say normal life, but in other networking. But people with similar businesses tend to find each other on social media and work out ways that they could work together. Even, if you're offering you think, oh, we're doing the same thing. It's very, very seldom that two businesses are actually doing exactly the same thing. So, I collaborate with people. With somebody we were talking earlier with, Dan Smell, who's doing his Google AdWords. We collaborate together. We work with businesses together because what he does complements what I do. So there are collaboration opportunities there.
So the fact is that we collaborate in business on a day-by-day basis, and if you can collaborate in business, then you can collaborate over social media
you can.
On a day-by-day basis.
And the beauty of social media is that you'll find people that you might not find, in your normal networking or when doing your day-to-day business in your shop or office. They are out there, and you can find almost anyone. Especially on Twitter, you can follow whoever you want. You can interact with them. They may or may not interact back with you, but if you've got something interesting to say and they find it interesting, they will. People
and I am amazed, because when I look at people who follow us, there's one chap in America that's following us, I think it's BuzzBiz or BizBuzz America, and really this is NBC TV. That's the kind of thing. But the other thing that surprised me as well are some of the UK followers that we have. We have senior politicians. I must admit, whenever they come in and it says you've got so and so following you, there is a little call in the office, and people say, look who's following us now. Yeah. And that just goes to show there is real power here in what you can achieve with social media.
And you get real buzz when you find somebody's following you, and you may find that you get somebody following you on Twitter and that they've got, not 2,000 or 3,000 followers, they've got 150,000 followers. So if they broadcast, retweet what you're saying, then potentially you've got all these people who may see, what you're up to.
Well, the nice thing about that, and can I just thank Simon McCoy from the BBC?
Ooh, name dropper.
Name dropper. He retweets on a regular basis, so Simon, thank you very much indeed. Now, moving smartly on. Can I just remind you, if you are watching the program for the first time, I hope you found it interesting tonight. It's been a fascinating insight. I think the trouble with social media is all the time is such a huge subject. Now, we could sit down and we could show you screen after screen after screen after presentation after presentation. But really, the thing about social media is to talk it through the way we've talked it through this evening with David. Talk through the aspects of it. I mean, tonight, as we said, we've talked about your strategy. Decide who you're going to be talking to, what you're going to be doing with it. The number of social media users, you've got to take it seriously. If you are a small to medium scale enterprise, if you're a large business, you have got to take that audience seriously because it is out there and it is waiting to be tapped into. You've got to know who your audience is. Not all social media is ideal right across the board for the kind of social media you're using. We've already said, if you're in business, maybe LinkedIn's going to be ideal. If you've got a product to sell, maybe Facebook. If maybe that's the way to go. And also the ages as well, the different people who are using the different types of social media. We've already said that Facebook seems to be getting slightly older, and the younger users are using different social media platforms to get their messages out. They don't want to be doing what mum and dad are doing. They're doing something themselves. So we've talked a little bit about the social media platforms. Don't forget to YouTube, very, very important. But remember those numbers. They are massive. We talked about 1.3 billion on Facebook still. And that's a platform that some people are saying is declining. 1.3 billion on Facebook. 300 million on, what's that one? 300 million on Instagram. Huge audiences out there. Save yourself time though. We know it can't all be done. Pick maybe the one or two of the different social media platforms that you feel are going to be right for what you are doing. Just pick one or two. Don't pick them all, because if you do them all, you'll do none of them very well. Pick a couple, do them well, do them properly. Interact with the people that are following you. And, you can check on your reputation. You can use it. People use it for direct messaging. It's just the right way. And ask yourself those questions. Why have I joined this particular social media platform? Why has my brand joined this social media platform? And what do what do you want to achieve out of being on that platform? Facebook, Twitter, Google+, whatever platform you choose, what are you hoping to achieve from it? Is it more footfall to your website? Regardless of what it is, decide in your own mind's eye. Because if you don't do that, then you won't have a way to actually measure the success of what you're trying to do. Now, the final question is it going to be expensive to do all of this?
All these things are free. To actually use the platforms. As you know, there's no charge for setting up a Facebook account, a Twitter account, or whatever. Tools like Hootsuite, again, that's free to use. There's a professional version.
That's what we're using, Hootsuite Pro, yep.
Okay, if you
but
buy...
that's only about, $8 a month or something ridiculous?
Hootsuite. For most small businesses, having 5 platforms is enough for them, so they could get away with the free version. Hootsuite Pro, I use it because I've got more than 5 platforms that I'm doing, obviously. You use the Pro version and you get some, we haven't even talked about sort of return on investment or how you measure your results, but Hootsuite Pro will give you some analytics that you can use. So all these things are free, but the one thing that obviously isn't free is your time. So you've got to think, how much time can I devote to this? Have I got enough time? And which is why we're saying, concentrate on 1 or 2 platforms, because you're not going to have time to do, 6 or 7 platforms.
With tools like Hootsuite, could you do it in 15 minutes a day?
You can do some of it in 15 minutes a day, but don't forget those interactions. So if somebody comes on and mentions your name and starts speaking to you, they don't want to...
But you're in a conversation then,
You're in a
aren't you?
conversation, and you should be responding a lot quicker than, the next night when you're setting up your, tweets for the next day.
David, I'm going to ask you in just a moment to look straight down camera number 1 and to tell us that the key things that we need to remember, where we should be going, and what we need to remember out of the conversation we had. Listen, I do hope you've enjoyed this evening. It's been fascinating. Don't forget to please subscribe to the channel. You can press right here. If you're watching us on YouTube, a lot of people see me doing this and they think, I wonder what he's pointing at. But you can just see, if you're watching on YouTube, there's a little logo just here and it says subscribe. Press on that. If you've enjoyed the programme or any of the shows, give us a thumbs up. If you thought the programmes were absolute rubbish and a waste of time, give us a thumbs down. Tell us why. Interact with the programme. We're quite open for that. We're big here. We can handle the criticism. But do it. Please do subscribe. Don't forget, if you're watching us on Roku, it's great to have you with us. Thank you very much indeed. If you're watching or listening on iTunes, fantastic as well. And if you haven't tried the iTunes, you can now watch us on the way to work as well. What other media platform? We're on them all actually. So we're there: YouTube, iTunes, Roku. Can't think Daily Motion. We're out there. If you want to catch up, fantastic. Also Google Plus as well. You can join one of our circles there. Been absolutely fascinating tonight. I hope you've enjoyed it. Before we leave you though, David is going to remind us of the key things that you need to remember when it comes to using social media, and to ask yourself the question, why aren't you getting results? Well, maybe he'll give you some of the answers here. Take a breath. Straight down camera number 1. David, it's all yours.
Thank you very much. I think the key thing that I would say is, as we said time and time again, is why do you want to be on social media and what are you trying to achieve from it? Then look to see where your customers are, find the right platforms and be realistic with what you can achieve. Look at the resources that you've got to post your social media. If it's just you doing it, then set aside a certain amount of time. Don't be too ambitious with it. And remember to interact with people and actually be social with them.
And that's it.
And that's it. That's all you need to do, and you'll have more success on social media.
Fantastic, and it really is as simple and as straightforward as that. Let me remind you what's happening over the next couple of weeks here on the show. Next week's show, our guest is Joanne, is it Godin, owner of Inside. Thank you very much. Owner of Inside. I hear voices and I see dead people go back to what we're talking about. Yes. She's the owner of Inside Out, an image and impact expert helping individuals and organisations achieve greater professional success. And then, as of the 2nd of March, we kick off with new time for Business Connections Live. We're moving it to Mondays, and it's going to be at midday on Mondays from the 2nd of March. So put that in your diaries. We're hoping for a lot more interaction. We're going to be opening up the forums and the billboards and all the rest of it. And also look out for 4 Networking TV, 4NTV with Brad Burton. He's going to be live from the studio next Wednesday, the 18th of Feb at midday. So a busy Wednesday for us next week. Also, you can go along, there's a whole load here. You can see some of the videos from the business show. We were at the business show last year, just before Christmas. That was at Excel. We're going to be there again. That was at Olympia. We're going to be there again at Excel on the 13th and 14th of May. And if you would like to appear on the programme, well, here come the telephone numbers and web addresses for you to get involved with us. First of all, you can go to this web address here at businessconnectionslive.com. You can see all the programmes there. You can also sign up. If you'd like to email us, you can go here, studio at Business Connections Live, and you can send us an email and say, I'm great, me, and I'd like to be on your show because I'm an expert in ... And if you'd like to give us a call, then you know is give us a ring on this number, 01784 256 777. It's as easy and as straightforward as that. And finally, if you would like a show like this one, customised and branded for your organisation. Listen, there are other organisations out there that claim to be able to do this. We are business professionals like you. So if you want to come along to our studio, and we'll put you under scrutiny and we'll get that business message out either to your employees or to your clients, we can do that for you. We call it the virtual newsroom. Simply just get in touch with us at all those email addresses. Don't forget, do go to the website at www.businessconnectionslive.com. But that wraps it up from me, Steve Hyland. Thank you very much indeed. From you, David, thank you very much indeed.
Pleasure.
And we'll do it again. It's been really enjoyable. But until next week, when we're live at 6, we'll see you then. Bye for now. Bye-bye. If you're a business owner and you need advice on how to make your business more successful, then Business Connections Live TV is just for you.
Our leading industry experts cut out the guesswork for growing businesses. How to use social media, what to expect from your accountant, web design, SEO, and so much more.
Business Connections Live TV is here to give you the motivation you need to succeed.
How you doing? My name's Brad Burton. I'm the motivational speaker that everyone's talking about right now, and I'm on Business Connections Live. What a show. What a show. People, do check it out.
If you're struggling with Facebook and LinkedIn.
Most people that I meet are on LinkedIn. Virtually, there's 14.5 million people just in the UK. I think the figures currently are 238 million people worldwide. But I would say that most of them don't really understand how to use it.
How to present your ideas more effectively.
Hello, I'm Philip Skinner, Shaw Walker Lees. A brilliant way to get message across. I'm actually thinking that we might switch away from our quarterly newsletter to do a video and get it sent through to staff and clients.
To generating leads and finding new business.
Hi, I'm Jim McLaughlin, Managing Director of business development company Axial. And I'd just like to say what a pleasure it's been to have the opportunity to appear on Business Connections Live.
Subscribe and be part of the Business Connections Live TV online community for free.
Business Connections Live TV every Wednesday, 6 p.m. GMT, or catch up on the Business Connections Live TV YouTube channel.
Make certain your business is connected with Business Connections Live TV.